What's up, guys and gals? Highly enjoyed it. This is so sad. I don't know if anybody else has seen this news yet, but I could very well be one of the first people to talk about it in the toy tour space, but Dolph Lundgren had a secret 8-year cancer battle. That's so heartbreaking, man. Dolph Lundgren, actor known for his role as Ivan Drago in 1985's Rocky IV and 2018's Creed 2, shared he had been battling cancer for the last 8 years. The Swedish actor, 65, spoke about his diagnosis for the first time publicly in a video interview on In Depth with Graham, published Wednesday, saying his cancer was initially considered terminal. Wow. He thought a second opinion and found a medication that worked for him. So we're gonna go down here and just listen to this interview from him.
There's the day after my surgery. They took out that one tumor, it's about that big. Then they took the other two they found, and another 3 small ones they found, so 6 altogether. So hopefully it's cleaned out. If it dies, it dies. It will die.
I know it's been a tough few years. You have not talked about it yet, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity that you're willing to take us through, some of this today.
They found a tumor, or they didn't know what it was, just a tumor in my kidney, and they took it out here in LA in 2015, but then they did a biopsy and it was cancerous. And then I did scans every 6 months, then you do it every year, and it was fine, for 5 years. In 2020, I was back in Sweden and had some kind of acid reflux, or so I didn't know what it was, so I did an MRI, I did one, and they found that there were a few more tumors around that area.
So you have the surgery, you wake up, you're told they actually removed 6 tumors.
Yeah.
And what happens from there?
There's a picture that I was going to direct and star in that was starting in the fall. The doctor called me when I was in Alabama, ready to shoot, and he said they found one more tumor in the liver. So I was like, oh, shit, okay.
Wow. Man, that's so heartbreaking.
At that point, it started to hit me that this is kind of something serious. They did a scan to, prepare for surgery. And the surgeon called me and said, no, it's grown now, it's too big. We can't take it out. It's like the size of like a small lemon. So now, if they can't take it out, that means you have to do systemic therapy. But then I started getting these side effects where I got diarrhea and I lost a lot of weight. And that wasn't very nice for myself or for, my poor fiance to suffer through that.
His mouth got really sore, his hands got sore, feet, and he couldn't eat anything warm, anything cold, anything like spicy. So that was a struggle to get food down, so he kept losing weight.
The problem was the doctor over there wasn't really sharing information with us, so we didn't really know. Didn't know what was going on.
And these are the doctors at Cedars?
These are doctors at Cedars, yeah. I had signed an Expendables 4 and Aquaman, a sequel to Aquaman, and both pictures shooting in London in the fall of 2021. When I got to London, they had a really good guy there who kind of was put in charge of my care. And I didn't hear from the people at Cedars for 6 months. They had never called me or anything. I think now, thinking back, they probably thought, oh, I'm a lost case, which I'd realized that with a guy in London.
We realized it was a lot worse than we thought. He kind of started talking about all these different tumors, like in the lung, in the stomach, in the spine, outside the kidneys.
Do you remember specifically what he said?
He started saying things like, you should probably take a break and spend more time with your family and so forth. So I kind of asked him, how long do you think I've got left? And he said, I think he said 2 or 3 years, but I could tell in his voice that he probably thought it was less.
Did you think it was it?
I thought it was it for sure. Yeah. So,
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
yeah. Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, you kind of look at your life and going, have I had a great life? Yeah, I've had a freaking great life. I've led like 5 lifetimes in one already, with everything I've done, and you know, and so it wasn't like I was bitter about it. It was just like, you know, feel sorry for my kids and my fiance and people around you. You know what I mean? Because I'm still a fairly young guy and fairly, you know, active and so forth.
It obviously hit me when I had a deep conversation with my dad about what would happen if he, you know, passed away and stuff. That was a horrible conversation. It's because I was like, yeah, at a tough time. Yeah.
You want to grab it?
I don't think I've even spoken that much about it, like what would have happened and stuff like that. Because also I have to be strong for my sister.
We'll get a second opinion. So we get there and I see this doctor. We meet this doctor, Drakaki.
This legend walks in and he's so sick looking and completely absent from the whole visit. He's just looking the floor. And he was told that he has a few months to live. That's how we get challenged to see, can we find a different avenue to care for these patients? And so then I had my colleagues to offer another biopsy and talk to pathology and ask them to reevaluate the tumor. He was lucky because we did find a mutation that is actually common in lung cancer. And I was able to get off-label use for his kidney cancer, treating as if it was lung.
She was like, this is really good news. There's so many medications that targets this mutation. We're gonna start with this one that seems to be the most effective. I remember we were driving home and it was like, we couldn't speak. Like, both of us were like, you know, it's like a movie.
If I'd gone on the other treatment, I had about 3 to 4 months left. I couldn't believe that it would be that radical of a difference, that within 3 months, it was, you know, things were shrinking by 20, 30%.
How well do you recall sharing with your family when you had the positive news?
Yeah, I remember sharing it with them. Yeah, it was emotional because, you know, even I remember telling even some of my good friends. Nobody wants to think the worst, but I think they did think, you know, that it was over.
What's happened since then?
So 2022 was basically watching these medications do their thing, and finally things had shrunk into about 90%. Now I'm in the process of taking out the remaining scar tissue of these tumors.
I used to say his cancer is melting away. There are certain parts of his body that the cancer is responding really well. There's some lesions that we cannot see them anymore. So that is above expectations.
What's the prognosis now?
The prognosis is that hopefully when they take these out, there's no cancer activity, and the medication that I'm taking is going to suppress everything else.
I hope it's years. I don't think it's months. My hope and goal is to try to keep them on these medications as long as possible. And then as the future and the science is changing, just keep getting biopsies as things change within his body to try to identify newer targets for treatment.
Going through all of this has impacted you now. How?
Well, I think, you know, you appreciate life a lot more. You appreciate every day. Every day I can be with people I love. And you know, you just appreciate, you know, being lucky enough to be alive, and appreciate every moment there is. This is just the first time I've spoken about it. So if it can save one person's life who was in my situation, then it's worth it, for sure.
As you're thinking about this, what makes you emotional?
That I found these wonderful people that could help me, you know, and that I think maybe all the work I did, somehow as an actor, you know, you try to put positive emotion and positive energy into the world, you know, and I've always tried to be nice to everybody I meet, they're all fans, anybody. And maybe it came back to me somehow now when I needed it, you know, the most. I think when you put love out there, you get it back, you know.
Wow. That's so sad. I am glad that the medicine is helping him. Cancer. But, yeah, wow. Heartbreaking, man. 8 years. And nobody knew about it. Like, that's crazy. Battling for 8 years. So he could have been battling this since at least 2012. He could have been battling this probably. 2012, 2013. Wow. It's heartbreaking. The medicine is working. Hopefully he gets a full recovery. And it's just crazy. It's just so out of left field. Like, I just saw this today as I was scrolling on the front page. Hopefully he gets a speedy recovery and he can live many, many more years. And as a fan, like, it's good that he's doing good, and like, I don't know how to articulate this right or say the right things, but we just all wish him a speedy recovery. I'm sure every fan just wants him to get a speedy recovery. And again, fuck cancer. You know, it's really sad. And I just wanted to talk about this because I don't know if any of the Motu people in the Motu community have mentioned this at all. It's sad, and yeah, I will catch you guys and gals on the flip side. Fuck cancer. Peace out.